Hello guys, Tops here. Today we want to further continue the testing of the ESTOC because your comments were overwhelming and a lot of people suggested a lot of things. So, one thing people suggested is we need to try it against orcs. The weapon is designed to do high armor penetration against high armor targets. So, I'm a little bit worried because of the low armor efficiency that we might struggle against warriors. But it was suggested that we try it against Orc Warriors. So here we go against Orc Warriors. So, right. I think people were a little bit mad. They like their daggers, man. I do not understand why people like their katals. Now I don't understand why they like their their other daggers. Anyhow, we will test it. Ideally, we can isolate a couple warriors with the tanks, so our dagger guy can kill them. Okay, let's test unarmored opponent. Okay, we did 80 damage there. Oh, that's pretty underwhelming. Okay. What? Let's see. Yeah, you hold them, you kill them, we come for you. Alright. Ah! Warrior came already. Okay, so this is a light warrior, as you can see. Yeah. So he has heavy body armor, but a light helmet. So this is gonna be interesting for testing purposes. I'm not gonna move. Our objective is to isolate Orc Warriors so our dagger guy can attack them. So I'm already thinking to myself, I do not think that this guy will have an easy time penetrating the armor. Okay, 400 body armor, 300 head armor, Perforate. We missed, okay. Happens. Don't you worry. With more attacks. Whatever. Yeah, okay. By the way, just for comparison, I know it's a famed great axe. I know. It's not a good comparison. Just for reference. Famed normal mace, no bonus active. Against the light warrior, you can see the damage. You can also see the dazed. You can see the fastest way to kill orcs is through headshots, by the way. So not gonna do anything. Okay, are you guys ready? Untouched, Perforate. Okay. Current initiative 102. It's not the highest, but it's reasonable. You can go higher than this, but this is an average bro. And we did, yeah, exactly what I thought happened. We did basically nothing. And by the way, this was suggested by the comments from people who probably do not play the game and have no receipts, that this weapon is designed to destroy heavily armored opponents. Now I'm gonna explain to you guys how armor works in this game, because I think that's an important knowledge that not everybody possesses. So, hit point damage is blocked by 10% of remaining armor. So it is dramatically important that you destroy your opponent's armor, so the hit point damage is not blocked. What this effectively means is we did 48 damage to armor here. That meant the hit point damage that we would theoretically inflict to hit points is now blocked by 10% of 350 armor, which in this case is 35. So 35 hit point damage got blocked by this Orc Warrior's armor, so effectively we did 9 hit point damage. That's pretty bad. It's pretty bad, and that's why against Orc Warriors you need the high armor effective, high armor efficient two-handed weapons, stuff like great axes, especially hammers, maces, right? On the other side, high armor effective duelists can work well. Hammer duelist, mace duelist. Axe duelist struggle, sword duelist struggle, don't talk about spear duelist, they're not gonna do anything. Dagger duelist struggle, and two-handed dagger struggles as well. Okay, so we could already see the test. I will try to do this again next round. Let's see what the second hit does. Okay, whatever. Alright, again. Okay, secondary hit, we hit the body again. Again, we did roughly 40 something damage to armor. And this time we inflicted like 11 or 12. Maybe a little bit more, 20, right? Yeah, I think we did like 20 HP damage. And there you can see, now that we have broken down the armor to 300, only 30 hit point damage is getting blocked by the remaining armor. So we did basically twice the armor damage. And this gets better the more this armor degrades. But you can already see, we effectively spent 2 turns and 38 fatigue to do basically nothing against an Orc Warrior. And you could see what like one hit of a two-hander does to an Orc Warrior, right? You can see that. Right? Just, it destroys more armor in case of the Great Axe. So it can do more hit point damage, and the maces and hammer have much more armor ignore damage with much higher armor efficiency, so they do right away much higher damage. Alright. You can even see stuff like a sword lance. I mean, this is a faint one, but again, we have low armor effectiveness. This guy is huge, and we headshotted him, and that's on a light helmet, and you can see how little that does. So against Orc Warriors, or in general heavily armored opponents, it is very important that you destroy the armor first. You can have high armor penetration, and it doesn't do much because armor, the remaining armor, blocks HP damage. This works for you as well, by the way. Yeah, so in this case, if I get hit by this orc and I lose 100 armor, I still have 300 armor on my chest, right? So 30 HP damage would be blocked, because 30 is 10% of 300. And then I would take, if I would take 50 damage from that hit, right, I would take only 20 to my 8 points. That's how damage works. So, I think I could demonstrate pretty effectively that a couple of your comments are just bullshit. Probably, I mean 100% it comes from people who do not play the game. Probably made by AI. Some of these comments seemed kind of AI written, and yeah, this is just not very effective against armor targets. And you can say we do a little bit more armor piercing with this one, but again, like as long we only do 50 damage to armor, so no matter how much armor piercing we have, there will still be like 35 hit point damage will be blocked by armor, basically. So that's the huge problem with this weapon. It's gonna be a little bit more on headshots, because we get then the plus 50% damage from headshots. But again, not much, as long as this guy has armor. Yeah, some people suggested, I think you can like 2 or 3 shot Orc Warriors, and I'm like, yeah, okay. That's why we test this. I already knew this would happen, but I just wanted to showcase this. We can do the quick math against unarmored opponents with the Perforate attack, which was also suggested by a lot of you people. So, we'll perform 2 quick attacks and an additional attack for every injury on the target. Right? So I don't know. Is this even good? I think we might have to test that separately. Again, I'm just very, very worried. If you look at that HP damage, as long as the target has any kind of armor, I do not think you will inflict an injury with every single hit. And I think this is actually a big problem. Like, we have very little base damage, relatively low armor ignore, and terrible armor efficiency. You can see we only do 26 damage to armor. So I'm pretty convinced, even with setup, so even if we have something like a crossbow who injures an opponent, I don't know, man. This seems very sketchy. And before you ask, against Orc Warriors, it's impossible to injure an Orc Warrior with a crossbow on the first hit. Unless you get like a lucky headshot with Max Roll on a very light helmet. Because in order to do an injury, you have to do 25% damage to hit points in one attack. So in this case, we need to do 50 hit point damage. If we have crippling strikes, we still need to do... it drops quite a bit. We still need to do 38 damage to hit points, I believe. So again, because of how the armor block works, and again, crossbows have pretty poor armor efficiency, only 70%. So as long as these guys have armor, you will not really inflict enemies injuries on heavily armored orcs. So even with setup, I don't know. I don't think you do anything. Especially with this little damage, right? You're just not gonna touch. It's impossible to injure an Orc Warrior with this kind of stuff. So against anything that has armor, it's just not gonna inflict injuries. Against unarmored opponents, you won't inflict injuries against most unarmored opponents. Because now if you think about it, unarmored opponents, let's take an unarmored Unhold. You basically cannot injure an unarmored Unhold with that amount of damage, right? An unarmored Unhold is like 500 HP, so you need to do, what, 125? This dagger cannot do this, right? Not with the Perforate. So you can't injure an Unhold. Not with the crossbow. A 200 crippling strike guy might be able to injure him. Actually, he will injure him. But yeah, just to perform an additional attack. So now you do 3 attacks with very low damage. It's just like, that's kind of the problem that I have. You invest so much fatigue, so many perks, so many stats, so much setup, so much bullshit into a weapon that does overall little damage. While you could just take a great axe who does that damage. 120 to 150, 0 to 60 ignore armor, 180 to 225 damage to armor, hits both head and body for additional damage. So you do on top of that additional damage from headshots. Right. Take the mace, you can see the damage, 1-4, 126, 0 to 63 can ignore armor, high armor damage, and the daze effect. Right. For 12 fatigue, by the way. The smite. 80 to 110 damage to hit points. 160 to 220 to armor, 100% chance to stagger. So like, the two-handers, they just do more. And just imagine we put Executioner on a two-hander. Like, he's gonna do plus 20% more damage. Like, I don't know. If you want to go for damage and you want to stack damage, two-handers are the best way to go. Because they have high damage in one single hit, which is just super effective against armor. Just because how armor works. One single attack that does very high damage has a very high chance of destroying a lot of armor and going to do a lot of hit point damage. If you have a lot of small attacks that don't do a lot of damage, like a spear attack or a dagger attack that performs 3 attacks with like, or 2 to 3 attacks with like very little damage, with very bad armor efficiency, you effectively tripled your opponent's armor, right? And you won't do much against anything. And yeah, I'm worried. I mean, let's showcase this against this Orc Warrior. Let's see how little he does. With the Perforate. Where is he? I mean, yeah. It's like my tank with a Goblin Spear would do the same amount of damage. It's just a... I mean, you can see this. It's just a joke. It's... I don't know. So against Orc Warriors, this weapon sucks. Right? I don't recommend against Orc Warriors. Use high armor effective weapons. Have high armor efficiency and high base damage to destroy armor and to destroy hit points. Flails are very effective because the fastest way to kill Orc Warriors is through headshots. They do not have steel brow and they tend to have lighter helmets than body armor a lot of the times. So like flails or general, you can see this guy got hit in the head twice, or at least once. You can see how fast this guy dies, right? So two-handers, try to hit the head. That's how you defeat, how you kill Orc Warriors. Dagger, with every trick in the book, it's not gonna do anything against Orc Warriors. All right, please write in the comments what you think about that. I would suggest not writing comments if you don't know how the game mechanics works, or if you don't play the game and you just thought this might work in your head, but you haven't actually tested that, because I play the game, I do testing, I present video proof to you, it's evidence, I stream, I play it on stream, you can see that, and this weapon has performed poorly, consistently, through every single instance I've put it through. I'm yet to find the instance where it's like overperforming. And I have a feeling I'm not gonna find it unless I give the best brother I have ever had a famed weapon, and then I set it up perfectly with a bunch of crippling strikes bros against the perfect target, and like, what kind of scenario are we talking here? How much cherry picking do we want to do in order to make this weapon as good as any other generic two-handers that you just find or buy, right? It's again, you don't find this weapon, you have to buy it. Unlike something like the Chosen Axe, you get it from Chosens. And these weapons you can buy. So, just from the gold value, I would rather buy a two-handed mace, a two-handed great axe, or a two-handed hammer than this dagger. Right? Because the AR does not have this dagger, you have to buy this. You can also loot these weapons from fallen heroes or brigand leaders. Or trash knights. Alright, so... Okay guys, I hope you get the idea. Please down in the comments below what theoretic scenario you have where this weapon might perform decently, because I'm not really seeing it, and the more I test, the more it confirms that this weapon is not doing a lot of damage. Alright guys, see you in the comments, have a nice day, and bye bye.